Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Renui Circular Innovations Capital Markets event. I'm Adam Richford, Head of Investor Relations, and together with Sophie de Vliege, we will be hosting you this afternoon. We would obviously much prefer to be hosting you on our sites and look forward to welcoming you to our locations in due course. However, today we have a packed agenda, and you will hear from our business leaders about 4 key circular innovations. We're all excited to share with you the stories of our investments that meet the needs of the circular economy as it becomes a priority response to climate change. However, first, before we get on with the main agenda, a few housekeeping items. Firstly, the presentations are scheduled to run for around an hour and a half, and we have a significant amount of material to share, so please do hold on tight as we canter through. Of course, today's sessions are being recorded, and will all be available on our website for playback. After the presentations, we have a change of pace and move to a panel question and answer session. After the panel Q&A at around 4 p.m. CET, our presenters will head to 3 different breakout rooms for an informal virtual coffee should you wish to continue the conversation. If you have any issues during the course of today, please contact me on adam.richford@renui.com or +44 7976 321 540. You may post questions at any point in time using the Participate feature on the right-hand side of your screens, or if you would choose to, you can use the QR code to download the chat feature to your mobile devices. We will endeavour to answer as many of your questions as we can during the panel session. Now, let me hand over to Sophie to explain the agenda.
Thank you, Adam. Welcome, everyone. We're delighted you were able to join us this afternoon. My name is Sophie de Vliege. I'm responsible for marketing communication and branding within Renui. Let me guide you through our packed agenda. So Otto will talk about the urgent need for circular innovations. After that, our business leaders will discuss market opportunities and how Renui is addressing those through investments and innovation. Klaas van den Berg will talk about the organics projects and all the activities that are going on there, including our first Bio-Lng factory in Europe. Mark den Hartog will take us through the plastic investments, the capacity and quality across our divisions. And then Theo Olijven will explain the huge demand for secondary raw materials in the construction industry. And on top, how ATM will meet those needs. Mark Thijs will discuss the transformation on the Belgian waste market because of new legislation, which is called Vlarima 8, and will explain why such a huge investment is necessary in advanced sorting to save recyclable materials from incineration. Bas van Ginkel will explain how innovation is embedded in Renui, and last but not least, Toby Woolrich will outline our target returns, summarize the phasing of the cash outflows, and the timing in which we expect to deliver the returns. To kick things off, we have Otto de Bond. He will explain the position of Renui in the circular economy and the enormous potential of circular innovations. Here is Otto for you.
Well, thank you, Sophie, and welcome everyone to this virtual Capital Markets Day, a first for Renui, and we hope you enjoy this afternoon. We're going to be talking about circular innovations at Renui. Now, why is this important to us? Well, at Renui, we believe that through innovation, we will be able to recycle more waste and also to create higher quality recyclates. And that, in turn, will lead to healthy and profitable growth for Renui, and also to more circular and sustainable economies that we work in the countries that we work in. Today, we will give you more color around how we have been progressing with our circular innovations since we presented it to you earlier last year. And if there's one takeaway I want you to take with you today, that is that we have made a lot of progress. We started with ideas. We're currently committing the capital behind these investments, and also you'll see that some of our sites are being built or have been built and new lines have been installed. And this means that we are really on track to deliver the 20 million of EBIT that we talked about in 5 years' time, in 2025. But before we go there, let me provide you with an update on the markets that we operate in, which has been changing rapidly. We see the climate emergency that we are confronted with leading to an ever more increased focus on ESG. Over the last year, communities around the world have been confronted with more natural disasters caused by climate change. If you think about the flooding in Belgium, in Germany and the Netherlands, or you also think about the wildfires we saw in Southern Europe, or the natural disasters that we've seen across the world, all are driven by climate change. And the IPCC report has confirmed that these climate changes are directly caused by carbon emissions caused by human. This scientific evidence is becoming more and more obvious, and that's why it's important that we act now. Also, we see that countries are not able to meet the commitments that they made in the Paris Agreement. So there's more and more pressure on the politicians to accelerate their legal changes to make sure that countries will be able to comply. ESG is coming to the forefront of investors and also companies. It is becoming more and more important to make sure that you're able to show what you're doing about sustainability in your company and for your customers. And the social demand for corporates to improve their sustainability is also increasing. Specifically, younger employees are asking for this to make sure that they can be proud of what their company is doing. The response to the increasing climate emergency has led to unprecedented changes to the market we operate in. We see a strong push by the European Union to increase recycling. For instance, we see that in landfilling, there is a complete stop, for instance, now in Denmark, where it's not allowed to landfill at all anymore. Also in Switzerland, that is the case. And in the Benelux, we see that landfill has been reduced to less than 2%, and almost no waste streams are being allowed to be landfilled. Second, we see that incineration is becoming more and more challenging. Countries have been announcing incineration taxes, like for instance the Netherlands already 2 years ago, where the incineration tax has been tripled. Now Belgium has also announced in Flanders to double the incineration tax by January of next year. On top, we see carbon emission taxes coming in for energy from waste plants, again, for instance, in the Netherlands. And all these lead to higher costs for incineration, which at the end make recycling more viable for certain waste streams that today still go to incinerators. Also, we see more legislation coming around what is still being allowed to send to incinerators. For instance, in Belgium with Flarema 8, there are restrictions now on the residual waste that can be incinerated, and all the recyclates have to be taken out beforehand. Now, a third way to stimulate recycling is by making sure that you stimulate the use of the recyclates. And that can be through various ways. In the Netherlands, there is a commitment to be 50% circular in 2030, and that will require more secondary materials to be used in production than primary materials are used today. So there will be a replacement. But it's also in the EU Fit for 55 program that has been announced over the summer, we see that there is a requirement to start using recycled plastics. And they're talking up to 30% of recycled plastics that have to be used in products and production. So there will be a sustained increase to the demand of recyclates and also their transition to being a scarce and valuable product. Now let's take a look at what we see across Europe, because there are still some differences. On this chart, you see in what state the waste industry is in various European countries. If you look at the x-axis, you see the maturity of the waste industry, from emerging to very mature. And that also includes environmental standards that are very high. On the y-axis, you see the growth rate. Now you see that countries like Belgium, Netherlands, and also Switzerland are on the right side of this chart, meaning that they have very mature waste industries. You see UK is running a little bit to the left, and that's because the UK is still making the transition to go from landfill to incineration as more incinerators are being built, which is certainly not the case anymore in the most mature markets, where the transition is now towards recycling. In terms of growth, you do see that in volume, Eastern Europe countries are still growing. And that is because there, the collection systems are being increased and improved so that all the waste is being collected, which is not the case today. And that will drive more growth moving forward. In Western Europe and Northern Europe, of course, that is the case already today. So almost 100% of the waste is already collected, and that's why volume is not really growing over the next years. But volume growth is not the most important. At the end, for Renui, it's the value we can create out of the waste streams, and there we see tremendous opportunities to further increase, even at stable volumes. Now, the transition to an advanced circular economy opens the opportunity for our business model of recycling. We see a lot of upward potential. In this chart, you see some of the most common waste streams in volume in Europe and how much per waste stream is recycled today. On the left side, for instance, you see wood, and what you can see is that from all the waste wood that is being collected, only 4% is being sold as recycled. The next one, you see that there is minerals, which is mainly waste coming out of the construction industry, where only 11% is recycled, and there you see that the market itself is by far the biggest of any material stream, waste stream that there is in Europe. But even if you look at glass, all the way on the right side of this chart, you see that at the end, only 73% of the glass ends up in a recyclate that's being reused. So anywhere from those common waste streams that we collect, we see upward potential to be able to increase that recycling rate and be able to sell more of our recyclates to those customers that can buy these recyclates to produce new products. Now, to do this will require innovation, because it's not just simply increasing your recycling rate, it will require new and different methodologies than what we use today. And to be able to innovate, you have to, of course, have a performance as an innovator, and that's where Renui has a long track record as an innovator in the recycling industry, where we've been working with innovative partners to bring new recycling solutions to life. Now today we will show you some of the recent examples of how we develop and use innovative ways to recycle new waste streams. One example you see here is from Peel Pioneers. The company we partnered up with 2 years ago as a startup was looking at orange peels to recycle that into, for instance, fibers that can be used in the food industry, or also to oils, etheric oils that can be used in the fragrance industry. With those guys we've teamed up, we've arranged a collection with them, and at the end, they've been building a new facility in Den Bosch, investing 10 million euros in a new and state-of-the-art facility to recycle orange peels. A second example is with the Purified Metal Company, where I've been working with them to collect contaminated steel with, for instance, asbestos or with chromium, and have been able to work with them exclusively in the Benelux to turn that into clean steel. Another great example. But maybe the best example of all is with Ikea, where together we bought a company called Retourmatras, which was a small company that had developed a new technology to recycle mattresses over 10 years. And together with Ikea, we stepped in, we created a joint venture, and in 2 years' time, we've been able to open 3 additional facilities and increase capacity to over 1 million mattresses that we can recycle today, with more to follow. Now, Ikea is a great partner in this, because Ikea as a company has a very sustainable agenda, and they want to be a clear example of a sustainable company moving forward. And with them, we have been able to work and make sure that in the promotion that we do, this is coming out. And what we'll show you now is a video that Ikea made, where they'll show how mattresses are being recycled and how new mattresses are being made from the recyclates. So let's go to the video from Ikea.
At Ikea, we offer many people a good night's sleep through a wide range of mattresses. For us, this comes with a certain responsibility for dealing with mattresses at the end of their life. By 2030, we want to be 100% circular, meaning 100% of the raw materials used in our products will be renewable or recycled. This includes replacing raw materials made from fossil fuels, such as foam in a mattress. This is why, together with Econo Industry and Renui, we invested in a Retourmatras. This year, Retourmatras will grow its annual recycling capacity to over 1.5 million mattresses in the Netherlands and Belgium. We are very excited to share that Retourmatras is starting construction of a new recycling facility to transform foam from end-of-life mattresses into the main raw material for new foam. The foam meets the highest safety and quality standards for a new mattress. Together, we pave the way to a circular mattress. So, all you need to worry about is making the most of your hours of sleep.
In those examples, you can see that we have applied multiple innovation models from direct to co-investment to exclusive partnerships, where Renui brings part of the solution. Later, Bas van Ginkel will talk about the innovation models and established innovation process that we developed at Renui over the last years. So, innovation is central to our growth strategy. With the rapid changes we see in our market, we have to innovate, not just to comply, but also to excite our customers, specifically the ones that want to lead in the circular transition. Our markets are evolving fast, and our customers are welcoming us to innovate. And innovation is a core value of Renui since we started 5 years ago as a waste-to-product company. We launched Mission 75 earlier this year, where we announced to increase our recycling rate from 65% to 75% by the end of 2025. And increased recycling and higher quality will have a significant impact on the spread that we can earn from the materials we handle, where the spread is the price that our waste-producing customers are paying us and the price at the end that we get for the recyclates that we sell. We have a target to deliver the 20 million of EBIT additional because of our innovation pipeline by the end of 2025. And we have committed 80 million of growth investments over the last year to make this a reality. Today, we bring to life an important part of the innovation portfolio that will meet our current and future growth aspirations. So let's take a look at the innovation pipeline we showed you last year. For today, we have split the projects in 2 groups. The projects we discuss this afternoon, which are on the top half of the page, and then the other projects that are on the bottom half of the page. You can see here that, for instance, the advanced residual sorting from Flarema 8 will bring the highest EBIT benefit to the projects that we currently have. Mark Thijs will talk about that later. Second, ATM with gravel and sand will be the second largest opportunity that Theo Olijven will talk about. But also the 2 opportunities in organics that Klaas van den Berg will talk about will bring additional EBIT, as well as the expansion in plastic recycling. So today, we bring our innovation portfolio to life to show you how we are progressing towards that target, which are not just financial targets. The quantifiable benefits we see from our Mission 75 in 2025 can be translated into 3 things. First of all, we'll see an increased profit that we talked about, where we'll add a minimum of 20 million of EBIT and 30 million of EBITDA from this innovation pipeline by the end of 2025. Second, we see an increased recycling rate. 10 points of additional recycling translates into 1.3 million tons of recycled waste. And also important is that with this recycled waste, we increase our CO2 avoidance, where we recycle more and burning less, that will avoid another 500,000 tons of CO2 emissions. Now, to do this, we need 110 million of investments to make this a reality, of which already 80 million is committed this year. Thank you. I will now turn it back to Sophie.
Thank you, Otto. Let's now dive into our first segment, which is organics. A lot of activity has been going on, and maybe you have seen this on our social media feed. Here is Klaas van den Berg to tell us all about it.
Thank you, Sophie, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Klaas van den Berg, and I've been working at Renui for over 9 years now. I have a background in environmental science and law studies, and before joining Renui, I worked as a sustainability lead at PricewaterhouseCoopers, serving large energy, utility and waste companies. Currently, I'm leading the organics business in the Netherlands and will talk to you about our operations, innovative projects and future plans within this business line. Renui Organics is a top 3 player in each of the 3 major organic waste processing sub-segments. Although these are all organic waste streams, each segment has its specific clients, regulation and treatment. Within green waste, which consists of pruning waste, roadside green waste like leaves and grass, and municipal garden waste, we process 300,000 tons a year, using several composting techniques, producing high quality certified compost in a complete circular process. We operate these sites across the region in Hoek van Holland, Amersfoort and Stadskanaal. Within household, kitchen and garden waste, we currently process approximately 250,000 tons of waste each year, although this market may increase by up to 100,000 tons if the Dutch government implement household organic waste separation requirements. We deploy digesting and composting techniques which produce biogas, which can be used to generate electricity and heat, in addition to compost for agriculture or export. We operate these sites in Lelystad and Drachten. The third segment concerns treatment of food waste. Our pre-treatment location, also known as unpacking installations, in Son, Lelystad and Amsterdam are well scattered over the country and process a total over 200,000 tons. Following an acquisition in 2019, we have full nationwide coverage and a clear market leader in the 3 segments of this specific supply chain. Our collection serves all sides of needs, from small bins to large trailers, from boxes to underground storage units. With this wide range, we are also anticipating on future collection of kitchen waste in city centers. The center of our activities and treatment of the organic mix we produce takes place here in Amsterdam. That's the activity we are going to talk about in more detail today. So let's have a look at the video.
The material being collected is out-of-date food waste, from short shelf life products such as fruit, vegetables, bakery goods, etc. We collect these bins from the supermarkets directly, or they are collected as part of the supermarket logistics and aggregated at the retailers' distribution centers for us to collect. Renui works closely with these large retailers to optimize the collection of out-of-date food waste. This collection truck has just arrived from collecting organic waste from Albert Heijn, the largest grocery retailer and significant customer of Renui. This is our existing food waste depackaging facility that we acquired in 2019. The truck arrives here and unloads its content in our bunker, and with a top loader the material is transported to the depackaging area. We also receive the collected bins filled with packaged food waste. After unloading our trucks, the bins are placed on a conveyor belt and travel along to the robot, which ends up the bin, and the content falls into our depackaging area. The bin is then jet washed and returned to our customers. Inside the treatment area, the food is squeezed through a depackaging machine into a slurry and is pumped over to our digesters to create the biogas. The packaging materials are collected and disposed of. We will return this site to the owners later this year. I'm standing here inside the new hall, where we are investing 10 million euros to build our own state-of-the-art version of the depackaging process we just looked at. As you can see, the installation is making great progress. Will be commissioned this month and will be fully operational in November. This new facility is capable of processing over 100,000 tons per year, operating a single daytime shift. However, we can also triple our capacity through multiple shifts if the market demands it, positioning us as the clear market leader in the Netherlands. The processed food waste slurry is sent into these digesters, where the biological process converts the slurry into a biogas. This Amsterdam facility is the largest industrial digester in the Benelux. It even operates its own wastewater treatment plant. Historically, the biogas was sent to combined heat and power engines. Government policy is changing. Green electricity can come from solar and wind, and biomass should be valorized into a more valuable product. And so, we have 2 exciting new projects to utilize the biogas produced. A part of our biogas will be converted into green gas that will be supplied to the grid. This project will be realized next year. Let's look at the other project, the new Bio-Lng Processing Installation, which we are operating together with our technology partner Nordsol and our end customer Shell. Nordsol is a technology innovator creating Bio-Lng from anaerobic digestion biogas. And Renui is proud to be working in a partnership with Nordsol to build the first scale Bio-Lng facility. I'm here with Leon van Bossem, Commercial Director at Nordsol. Good morning, Leon, and thank you for joining us. Please, can you briefly explain what Bio-Lng is?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today in Amsterdam. At this site, Renui produces biogas.
and we clean, upgrade and liquefy the biogas to the high-value biofuel called Bio-Lng. And Bio-Lng is the solution to decarbonize the heavy-duty transport sector. It will displace fossil alternatives, it's available today and is 100% CO2 neutral.
You are commissioning the first Bio-Lng plant at the Renui site here in Amsterdam, and we have a time-lapse video of the facility coming to life. Please, can you walk us through the major stages of the construction?
Yeah, we started discussing the initiative with Renui in 2018, and Renui received a permit in 2020. And as you can see, the plant is based on a modular approach. The modules at the building blocks have been fabricated in the workshops to ease installation on site. When Renui CEO Otto de Bond hit the first post 1 year ago, this was all empty grassland. In a short period, the site has been built. We are currently in a startup phase and we expect to have full production end of this year.
And Leon, what is Nordsol's position in this project?
Well, this project is a unique partnership between Renui, Nordsol and Shell. Renui owns the site, organized the permit and have done all the groundwork and civil works. Nordsol has designed and built the plant and is responsible for the overall production process, the maintenance and the services. And after a period of training and education, the daily monitoring and operation will be handed over to the Renui personnel.
Leon, what makes this installation unique?
Well, the partnership makes it unique in itself. This is the first commercial Bio-Lng plant in Europe, and it really takes guts to be a frontrunner. And from a technical perspective, biogas contains approximately 60% out of methane and 40% CO2. And in this installation, the CO2 is also liquefied, and the bio-CO2 replaces fossil CO2 in the market. And together, this results in true zero-emission transport.
And how much Bio-Lng will be produced with this installation?
Well, this installation produces 3.5 kilotons of Bio-Lng per year. A truck can drive 13 million kilometers on this volume. To put it in perspective, this is roughly 400 times around the world.
And Leon, can you briefly walk us through the different stages of the installation?
Yes, the line over there, that is where the Renui biogas enters the system. Then it goes into the middle container where the CO2 and the methane is separated. The CO2 goes to the right where it's liquefied and stored in this tank. Then the biomethane goes to the third container and from there into the cryo tower where the liquefaction process is taking place and where the Bio-Lng is being formed. Okay. This is the offloading station, so this is where the Shell truck comes to load the Bio-Lng.
Okay, thank you Leon, very insightful. It is exciting to be at the first anaerobic digestion facility to bring in the next generation use for biomethane beyond simply electricity production. Bio-Lng is an innovative product which can revolutionize long-haul transportation, making it carbon neutral and extending routes beyond battery-driven distances. We know that Shell are particularly excited about the prospect of this new product, which is why they have teamed up with Renui and Nordsol in this project. Shell is an international household name and has a key position in the transition to future transportation fuels. Shell is investing in alternative future technologies to reduce the carbon impact of transportation. I had an interview at an LNG fuel station in Amsterdam with Robin Bresses from Shell, who is the responsible Bio-Lng business development manager. He has been closely involved in this project since the early start. Hello Robin, can you explain how important Bio-Lng is to Shell and your customers?
The world needs to decarbonize and the world needs to decarbonize soon. Shell is committed to working with its customers to speed up the decarbonization journey, and Bio-Lng is a very good example of a low carbon fuel that can be developed and delivered today and can be scaled in the next couple of years.
And can you give examples of the different clean solutions?
Shell is working on a portfolio of clean solutions. Let's take electricity as an example. Electricity can help to decarbonize passenger vehicles or any city distribution, but it cannot decarbonize long-haul trucking. And for that, we need Bio-Lng. And to be able to develop Bio-Lng, we need partnerships like the one we have with Renui and Nordsol.
And Robin, how does this development match the demand of your customers?
The partnership between Renui, Nordsol and Shell has resulted in the construction of the first Bio-Lng plant in Northwest Europe. It has been built in Amsterdam. That plant will deliver Bio-Lng that will be delivered to Shell's LNG sites, one of which has been built behind me. Shell has a European-wide network of LNG sites, and more sites are added every month.
How do you expect the use of Bio-LNG to grow in the Netherlands and wider?
Across Europe there are thousands of LNG powered trucks on the road. The facility in Amsterdam will deliver 3.5 million kilos of Bio-LNG into the Shell network. It's a milestone and it's a critically important first step. But at the same time it's a first step, and from here we need to scale. And that's why these partnerships with Renui and Nordsol are so important to help further scale the availability of Bio-LNG into the Shell retail network.
As Renui, we just received our first LNG truck. We use this for the transport of food waste. So we are really closing the loop by collecting the food waste with a vehicle powered by a climate neutral fuel made out of the waste it transports.
We see the use of Bio-LNG as an important sustainable fuel on the menu. In addition to electricity and possibly hydrogen, the renewable fuel Bio-LNG is also of great importance in order to take important steps as quick as possible with regard to CO2 reduction.
In addition to the Bio-LNG, we are also investing in further processing of our remaining biogas to add it as green gas to the grid. This investment optimizes the carbon footprint of the biogas and is a much better environmental solution. However, the specific investment will simply maintain the current profitability of the organics businesses as the electricity subsidies expire. So we don't include this in our innovation pipeline. The gas-to-grid installation purifies and dries the biogas. We separate the CO2 and methane and then bring the gas to grid specification. We expect to deliver around 8.5 million cubic meters or 75,000 megawatts hours to the grid, enough to supply around 5,000 households. The separated CO2 will be sold to the greenhouse horticulture industry. The installation will be built behind me during 2022 and will be operational early 2023.
We hope you enjoyed visiting our organic site in Amsterdam. With these new investments totaling over 20 million and our innovation center developments, we ensure that our organic business remains a pioneer in the conversion of out-of-date food waste into valuable materials, providing our customers end-to-end solutions and bringing circular economy into practice. This is the end of the video of our deep dive into the organic business. For now, over to Sophie.
Thank you, Klaas. And to illustrate the uniqueness of this project, Bio-LNG, in 2 days' time, the King of the Netherlands will give his royal approval to open the site in Amsterdam. Let's now have a look at plastic recycling. It's a major concern. We hear about it every day. And that's exactly the reason why Renui wants to invest in high-quality recycled plastics. Here is for you, Mark den Hartog.
Hi, Sophie.
Hello, Mark.
And good afternoon, everyone. Please allow me to briefly introduce myself. My name is Mark den Hartog, and I'm the Managing Director of the Commercial Waste Division Netherlands. For the last 25 years, since I've completed my master's in chemistry, I've been working at international businesses like Unilever, where sustainable value creation is at the heart of doing business. For the last 10 years, I've worked with Corbion, a Dutch-listed materials and life science company. And as a member of the executive committee, I was responsible for building new renewable business platforms. That included, for example, microalgae as a sustainable fish feed additive at an industrial scale, and also the PLA Bioplastic Foundation, together with Total Energies, are worth mentioning. This has given me the exposure and experience to build successful circular businesses. It's very exciting now to be able to bring that into play for Renui, delivering its waste to product strategy. But enough about me, let's now zoom in into the world of plastics and the role Renui can play there. Let us first have a look at the world and production of plastic. And although we hear a lot of concerns about the growing consumption and the related waste that comes with it, there's not a way to stop that growth. We see that there's still a continuation of 10% annual growth of plastic production and the related waste that comes with it. So without a major intervention, the amount of plastic globally generated will grow from 450 million tons in 2020 to 600 million tons in 2025. So closing the loop in plastic is the key challenge. And in order to make that waste available for recycling, it requires collection and sorting capabilities at scale. And when it comes to recycling, let's take, for example, plastic packaging, the numbers aren't great. As you can see here, from the 14% of plastic that is collected for recycling, only 2% makes it to full recycled quality, which means there's a tremendous upside for the reuse of materials, as depicted here by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. This initiative has set clear targets to achieve a circular economy for plastic so that it never becomes waste or pollution. So recycling is the major factor to turn the tide. There's also an increasing societal awareness that demands a change in reuse and recycling. We see it across markets in which we operate, that valuable materials being saved from waste, avoiding incineration at the end of life, is gaining momentum. As you can see here, for example, also a statement from a recent study by WWF, where 86% of the interviewed somewhat or strongly agree to the statement that we need to change our economy from one that throws things away to one that emphasizes reuse and recycling. In addition, the increased societal awareness now also has translated into government action, and the legislative and regulatory framework is more and more geared towards upping the recycled content. An example is the ban on single-use plastics in Europe, and also the European Plastic Pact that aims to increase recycling rates and the use of recycled content in new materials. Now, Renui is well positioned to close the loop in the value chain, so let's have a look at that in more detail. And let's start with our current position in the plastic recycling, which is the beginning of our journey. The main source of plastic waste comes from our commercial waste collection. You can see here 3 of our hubs for plastic recycling as we operate today, which is really an interconnected network of processing facilities, where we in total process around 100,000 tons of rigid plastics annually. And that gives us a leading position in the space. And that's also where we're making significant investments to go from here. Let me now take you along a journey across those 3 locations and show you what we're doing to go on that journey. We'll start in Belgium, where we have been active in plastics for a long time and where we have done recent investments. And Philip will tell us more about that. Then we move on to Waalwijk, where my colleague Dieter will actually talk about the dedicated recycling we have for waste from electrical and environmental equipment. We close off the tour in Acht, where Olaf will tell us about the plastic sorting investments we're going to make there. So over to you, Philip.
Last year, in addition to a brand new plastic sorting line, a new building was constructed for a state-of-the-art processing line for hard plastics in the port of Ghent. This investment increases European recycling rates and accelerates our transition to a circular economy. Plastic has changed the world. It is an extremely functional, versatile and aesthetic material that has improved living standards and enhanced hygiene. Ignoring plastic's impact is impossible. Polymers such as PE, PP and PET are used in many products from every kind of sector, but over half of the plastics produced in Europe are lost, disappearing inside incinerators, strewn about as discarded waste or labeled as non-recyclable. Here in Belgium, this is being addressed by new governmental policies and regulations that will demand more industry efforts to avoid burning waste. This will create a strong push towards recycling and increased commitments to recycled content in new products. Renui is focused on advanced operational solutions, resulting in high-quality, stable end products. This is why we have invested in a sorting, washing and grinding line in Ghent. Every year, 20,000 tons of mixed plastics waste are treated by Renui in Ghent. The plastic waste is pre-sorted according to 14 monoqualities at a new sorting line to ensure the qualitative input for the processing line. Processing takes place in a new building, where an advanced grinding and washing line has been installed. This facility produces purely recycled PP/PE regrinds of high quality that will be reused in new recycled plastic applications. These regrinds find their way to a range of customers across different industries such as packaging industry and automotive. To ensure the high quality and predictability of this secondary raw material for our customer, the end product is tested in our own laboratory at various stages of the production process. The testing is done for quality control as well as to meet specific customer requirements such as moisture content, yield and melt flow index. This has given confidence for our customers to work with us and develop long-term partnerships that secure offtake and/or investment in the space.
Being the European market leader in RE recycling, we have taken the step to further enhance our plastic recycling technologies. With our latest innovative investments such as the Electrostatic Separator, we produce now a virgin quality which generate more added value. So how does our process work? Our inbound recycled VEE plastics arrive from our sister recycling plants. We use density and metal sorting technology to produce a clean flake. This technology generates a purity of around 60 to 80% since PS and ABS have an overlap in density. To upgrade the quality to 98% purity, we installed a new innovative electrostatic separator. The installation gives an electrostatic charge to a target fraction as positive and other fraction as negative. The separation is based on charge differences and works as a magnet. We have 5 electrostatic separating boxes in a row. In the first box, the installation removes all small pieces of rubber, wood and fibers. In the other boxes, different target plastics are separated: PS, PPE and ABS. The quality of this recyclate is equal to virgin materials, enabling our customers to use this in high-value products and close the loops to meet their circularity targets. The market demand for such qualitative products is expecting to rise fast in the following years, driven by EU regulations to use recycled plastics. In order to meet increasing customer specification requirements, we invested last year in analytical capabilities at the Central Plastics Laboratory for quality control and application development work. This will enable our sales engineers to make customized recycled materials by adding the required additives. We share our growing expertise across all our divisions. For example, Ghent and Waalwijk experts have been closely involved in the design of the new hard plastic sorting line in Acht. And it doesn't stop here. We are working on several full circle programs such as a fridge-to-fridge customer co-development, of which we hope to be able to report to you more when we meet again.
Here in Acht, we have just committed the capital to install a new 25 kiloton sorting line that includes optical sorting techniques and proven technologies such as grinding and washing. A large part of the volumes have already been secured, as it will process rigid plastics from municipal recycling centers, which we already collect, and of course other primary sorting facilities as well. This new investment will lead to a significant upside in sorting performance, supply chain efficiency and sustainability. For example, it will lead to high quality PE and PP regranulate, 10% less landfill and a reduction of 6,200 tons of CO2 emissions every year. 75% of all material will be recovered for new products again. The project is now at a stage where machinery is being purchased and the site is being prepared in this area behind me. It is expected that after a year and a half of detailed engineering, procurement and construction, the plant will open in early 2023. In the design of this facility, both the Ghent and Waalwijk teams have actively contributed, which allowed us to design according to the latest insights and turned out to be an engaging teamwork as well.
And thank you, Olaf. And all of this, of course, goes hand in hand with growing commitments from those who use plastics, like the brand owners you see listed here. This surge in demand has also led to an increase in prices of recyclate, and that encourages us to accelerate the pace of our journey. So brand owners and plastic producers are making those commitments to become circular, and that's a key driver for the growing demand. So let's now listen at what our partner RAF Plastics has to say about that.
My name is Caroline van der Perre. I'm Managing Director RAF Plastics. RAF Plastics is using Renewi's regrind to produce custom-made granules. Our customers are active in the agriculture, packaging and household industry. We yearly produce around 40,000 tons of granules. The demand for post-consumer scrap is increasing. Before we only produced granules made with post-production material. RAF Plastics is very happy with the cooperation with Renui to achieve our sustainability targets. We want to focus on producing granules because they are all custom-made. We prefer to work with partners who are more specialized in collecting, sorting and washing the input materials. Several years ago, our customers were only interested in our granules because of price difference compared with virgin materials. Today, there's a big change. Our customers prefer granules made with post-consumer scrap. Production scrap is not good enough. It's very important that the product can be recycled and that it is made with recycled material.
You have seen now how we at Renui contribute to recycling one of the growing waste streams called plastic, and what our plans are to build scale and enlarge our impact to close the loop with circular plastics. Through the investments highlighted today, we are able to recycle those and even more of them, minimizing therefore the amount that gets wasted or incinerated, and hence also directly contributing to our target of 75% recycling rate. Our enhanced recycled systems, with hugely improved carbon footprint as well compared to their virgin alternatives, will allow brand owners to realize their ambitions in the use of recycled materials and their sustainability goals. I'm confident that in the coming years, when we watch and discuss the progress we're making together, we can see how this benefits our customers as well as the planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. This is a great example of a cross-divisional knowledge sharing. In the Netherlands, there is a high demand for secondary raw material in the construction industry. At ATM, we have gravel, sand and filler that will help the Dutch government to be circular by 2030 by 50%. Here is Theo Olijven, who will tell you all about it. Welcome, Theo.
Thank you, Sophie. I've been working for the petrochemical industry for over 30 years. 2 years ago, I decided to join Renui. The reason to join Renui is based on the vision to give waste materials new life and protect the environment. Renui has an essential role to support our clients, but also the Dutch government to meet the sustainability targets. It's great to be able to contribute to these initiatives and to focus on long-term sustainability. My division, the Minerals and Water Division, consists about ATM and Minerals. ATM operates a water treatment facility. It operates a facility to take in packed chemical waste, but also to treat soil thermally. The Minerals Division is also treating soil, however, not thermally, but biologically and by means of extraction. Minerals is also treating bottom ash by taking out the precious metals and also by purifying the remaining bottom ash to be used for infrastructural applications. And besides that, Minerals owns 3 hazardous waste landfill locations in Belgium and the Netherlands. Today I would like to focus on ATM, how we can meet the tremendous need for secondary materials for construction. Before I explain it in more detail, I would like to show you a video by ATM on how we produce these secondary materials, but also what our clients think about it.
I had an interview with Bas van der Pol from Heijmans. Bas is project manager responsible for secondary materials within their works and assures compliance with the strict regulations. A household name in the Netherlands, Heijmans, is a major European construction services business with Dutch-based headquarters. The company was founded in 1923 and has more than 2.6 billion euro revenue. Bas, can you tell us why circular materials are so important for Heijmans?
Zeker. Bij Heijmans zetten we in op de circulaire economie en stellen we ambitieuze doelen om de CO2-uitstoot te minimaliseren. Heijmans wil vanaf 2023 CO2-neutraal zijn en streeft daarna 100% circulair te worden. We willen circulaire grondstoffen gebruiken en materialen waar mogelijk hergebruiken. Ook de Nederlandse regering heeft zich ten doel gesteld om in 2030 voor 50% circulair te zijn. Voor ons werk met de nationale en regionale overheden beoordelen zij de circulariteit binnen hun aanbestedingen. Waarbij zij de voorkeur geven aan bedrijven die het gebruik van secundaire materialen kunnen aantonen. Het is dus ook een aanmoediging om business te winnen.
How would you describe your partnership with Renui?
We werken al enkele jaren nauw samen met Renui om de mogelijkheden te identificeren om circulaire materialen te gebruiken in onze constructies. We gebruiken producten als beton, asfalt, funderingen en ophoogmaterialen voor infrastructurele werken. We hebben daarom met Renui kunnen samenwerken om bruikbare materialen uit hun verwerking te identificeren en deze te specificeren in producten van bouwkwaliteit.
Martens Beton is one of the leading Dutch manufacturers of concrete products for piping systems, paving and elements. Martens Beton seeks to maximize the reuse of secondary materials to decrease the impact on the environment and pushing for a 100% circular economy. They are an important customer for gravel from ATM. René Dupré is Managing Director of Martens Beton and I had an interview with him. René, please can you explain why circular materials are important?
The Dutch concrete industry is currently facing a shortage of raw materials and sharply rising prices. The reduced availability of circular products such as pulverized coal fly ash is due to the closing of coal-fired power stations, a true issue within this industry. ATM, secondary products, sand, gravel and filler are therefore important to fill the demand in order to reach our circular targets.
Martens Beton has strong ambitions for circular economy. Can you tell us something about that?
Via the partnership we have with ATM, we produce our key products such as quality bricks and, more important, concrete elements for sewage systems like manholes and concrete pipes. ATM is one of our key partners in our journey to become 100% circular and to reduce our carbon footprint.
ATM has the potential to be one of the largest single suppliers of secondary building materials in the Netherlands, perhaps even in Europe. For over 40 years, we have taken in contaminated soil and cleaned it using a thermal process. This has allowed over 1,000 contaminated sites to be cleaned up and used again, recycled if you like. And we have provided millions of tons of recycled soil for construction projects. We have been working on a project to upcycle the clean soil into much needed secondary building materials for infrastructure projects, concrete and asphalt industries. In the next few minutes, I'd like to show you how we do it. The contaminated soil is thermally treated in a large rotating kiln that heats the contaminated material up to 500 degrees Celsius. All the organic contaminants are burnt off and then completely destroyed in a sophisticated gas cleaning equipment. We continue to invest in maintaining and upgrading the facility so that it will operate to ever higher standards. For example, 7 years ago, we invested 7 million to double the size of the electrostatic precipitator that removed the dust from the vent gases. 3 years ago, we spent 5 million to replace the incinerator to comply with new environmental standards. And behind me now, you can see we are investing 5 million to replace the LIFO, which cools the exhaust gases before they're washed and are heating up the incoming gas. In 2019, we have installed a sieve at the end of the rotary kiln to separate the soil into sand and gravel as separated building products at high rates and temperatures of 500 degrees Celsius. Sieving the products sounds easy, but it requires a special design to operate under these severe conditions. The recovered sand and gravel now have to be further treated before they can be used for infrastructure applications and for the production of concrete and asphalt. The simplest product that we make is the gravel. Yet even that has its complexities in order to meet the demands of our customers.
At full production, we expect to produce over 250,000 tons of gravel every year, which is still just 1% of the 20 million tons annual market in the Netherlands. The gravel is purified in this installation. We first remove any metal fragments using magnets. Then the gravel is washed with water jets to remove any residual sand, clay and other products. Then it passes along the aerated pulsating conveyor belt, which blows off the lighter particles, including brick, leaving behind only the gravel.
Finally, the gravel is sorted according to sizes from 2 to 30 millimeters and is stored in these bunkers, ready for customer collection. A product with a waste status code needs specialist handling, application and monitoring and reporting. However, our gravel has an end of waste certification through this process and can be used freely in any application. This could include the full circle of going back into asphalt road surfaces where much of the inbound waste comes from. And here you see behind me clean, sorted size gravel, a perfect secondary material for the concrete and asphalt industries, produced by Renui from highly contaminated material.
The next product we make is filler, which is effectively the dust elements from soil. At full production, we expect to produce up to 100,000 tons per year. The filler is used to supplement cement in concrete manufacturing. It's a long-term replacement for fly ash that has been used for decades from coal-fired power station. This is now becoming unavailable as countries phase out coal to meet their climate targets. The filler comes out of the electrostatic precipitator, warm and free-flowing. However, get it wet and it turns into bricks as hard as concrete. So we have to keep it securely stored and dry. That's why we spent over 3 million euros last year to build these 2,000 ton silos. These store up to 2 weeks production. The filler is loaded into bulk trailers and transported to customer locations. Our filler is currently still classified as a waste material with the attendant regulations, but we are seeking additional quality certification to expand its addressable markets. Currently the filler is blended into third-party fillers to allow its use in cement and concrete manufacture. Trials are ongoing to determine the product quality and consistency. We have recently signed a contract for 4 years with a manufacturer to supply to 50,000 tons of filler, which is half our production. Further offtake will be enhanced when we secure the end of waste status on the filler, allowing it to be used in all concrete products. Finally, we will produce up to 500,000 tons per year of sand. This sand can be used for industrial applications, such as the underlayer of new roads, through the higher grade applications, such as asphalt and concrete. Presently, the sand we produce is mostly applied in industrial and infrastructural projects or elevation purposes. This sand only needs to comply with the soil quality legislation. We can sell the sand for asphalt and concrete applications once the product is certified according to specific regulations. This is particularly important to obtain a higher price for this valuable secondary material. We have now cleared space on site following the dust silo installation and the shipping of the old stocks of TGG. So large-scale trials can begin, which will provide the necessary data to gain certification. The process to full end-of-waste certification may take up to 2 years. With an annual market of more than 120 million tons of sand for these applications, we are more than confident that there will be strong demand at attractive prices for our fully certified product. As shown in the video, the secondary building materials, gravel, sand and filler are produced from thermally treated sand. Over time, the products are moving from their current state to an intermediate state and to the end state. That basically means that the products are gaining quality, but also at the end of the day have achieved the end of waste status. So that means that they can be fully applied freely in the Netherlands or elsewhere. there is strong customer demand for these products, and the available market for the secondary materials is clear. And that's because our clients would like to transition from the primary materials towards the secondary materials, which will also help them to reduce their environmental emissions and to improve on sustainability. The increasing market will also help the pull-through of materials for ATM. So that means the more product we sell at the back end, the more we can bring in at the front. The value creation is being created by the certification and the new applications that are being developed over time. So as you can see from the graph, the colors will change from orange to blue. The only product at this moment in time which is already at the end state is gravel. And I will talk about these shortly in the next slides. The gravel is produced from the soil, as I just mentioned, and at full rate we are able to produce around 400,000 tons. And that's only 2% of the Dutch market. The product is used for the concrete and asphalt industry. The demand is high as clients like to replace them immediately to replace them when they go from the primary material to the secondary material. The indicative pricing at this moment in time is varying between 9 and 12 euros. And that's clearly depending on the material where it's used. The end state of this material is already obtained in the market, so therefore we can freely apply it in the Netherlands. If we move to the next one, it's about sand. And sand is produced even in a higher quantity. It's around 500,000 tons. That's currently only being used for infrastructural applications. However, we're also targeting the concrete industry at this moment of time. The production capacity at ATM is only 1% of the Dutch market. However, that whole market is at this moment not attainable because you need special qualification for these products. And also you need to move it towards the end of waste status. The pricing for the sand is also varying, depending on the infrastructure applications from -5, where it will grow towards the other more complex applications like concrete to 5 euros positive. I have to say that's excluding the logistics cost. The sand is currently shipped by the means of the soil quality degree. And that's a norm that we apply in the Netherlands. And that's only for infrastructural applications. However, when we apply it for concrete applications, we have to meet the European norm. And the European norm is the EN 12620, and we hope to obtain that by mid-22. The end of waste status is expected from 2023 onward. And while that's been going on, at that moment in time, the market will open more for these products. The final product that we produce is filler. And the filler is produced in a volume of around 100,000 tons. The product will be used in various potential emerging applications. And we are working very closely with our clients to develop those applications and to ensure that we meet their quality norms. To give you an example of an emerging application is the Coil fly ash in cement. As you all know, the coal-fired power station will diminish. And therefore we have an enormous opportunity to replace the amount of fly ash that's currently being used to cement. And then the cement will be replaced by this material filler, which will be used as a binder. The total market in the Netherlands is around 20,000 tons. However, with the new applications that are coming up, we expect it to grow to 500,000 tons. The price will also vary from 10 euros negative to 10 euros positive, depending on the application and depending on the certifications that we are working on. For concrete, we again have to comply with this NEN norm 12620, but also to the Dutch BRL 1804. And we expect to hope the end of waste status from Q4 2022. I will now show you something about the Atm Financial Projections. As you know, the largest part of the division is ATM. And as you can see from the graph, it has a minor loss last year. And that was mainly due to the fact that the external storage costs were allocated to ATM. At ATM, we also assume that we have €5 per ton offset cost. And we believe that, based upon our current expectation, that we will be able to come up to 20 million EBIT in future. This is, however, depending on the pull-through that we will get, and therefore the secondary products are of extreme importance. However, I hope by showing you the applications and the potential that we have in these upcoming markets, that we will be able to reach the 20 million EBIT in future. All the new materials are being taken into the gravel, sand and filler factory, and that's where we upgrade these materials further. The initial role is that these products are being taken and are being moved towards the end state, to our customers. Over time, when the unit becomes more profitable and the products are becoming more profitable, then we will see that the EBIT for these units will increase. I hope I will be able to convince you that there is a clear market for our products and that these markets will grow over time. The clear markets in cement, concrete, but also in geopolymers, and a geopolymer is a concrete without cement, will be used for this type of applications. Key for us is to work with our clients at this moment in time to build these new applications. And in the video you've seen two of them, Heijmans and also Martens Beton, which are helping us to improve our products and to work together to develop this new market. And we believe that with the upcoming volumes, that we will be able to reach over 1 million tons. And the quality will improve over time. Thank you for your attention, and I will head back to Sophie.
Thank you, Theo. Recently, our board signed off an investment of €60 million. It's the largest single investment since Renui was created. We are all very excited about it, and Mark Thijs is here to tell us all about it.
Good afternoon, Sophie, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm indeed very excited. I'm heading commercial waste for Renui in Belgium for about 6 months now. And I really love to talk about our industry and deploying innovation that we're doing. Having spent over 20 years in the automotive industry, I experienced the importance of sustainable innovation to outperform our competitive environment. I'm therefore convinced that innovation is a key driver to sustainable competitive advantage and to stay ahead of the game. And I'm sure that you will join me on this excitement once you understand how Renui's recent decision to indeed invest in a leading-edge sorting technology will be reinforced by the change of regulation in Belgium, taking waste sorting and recycling goals more serious than ever before.
What makes Belgium an important player in the market?
Well, it all starts with the European Green Deal, which is a very decisive driver for the circular economy in our region. In order to realize Europe's net zero ambition by 2050, each member state will implement various concrete measures in the coming years to achieve their journey to circularity. Belgium is well advanced within Europe to deliver specific results of a more sustainable society. And one of the areas that is leading the way resides within the industry of waste management. A very concrete measure is Valorema regulation that is launched in Flanders with the goal to reduce carbon emission through incineration and hence by increasing recycling obligations. In today's world, more than 80% of the ever-growing residual waste volumes go to incineration. And through Valorema 8, the government takes responsibility to put tighter measures of sorting and enabling huge recycling opportunities to the industries.
We've heard a lot about Valorema 8. Can you explain a bit more what it exactly is?
Sure, absolutely. I see Valorema 8, first of all, as a game-changing innovation for the waste industry. Valorema 8 creates the need for businesses to sort their waste and going even up to 24 different waste streams. With this regulation, waste collectors are required to report and assist the sorting behavior for the companies to see if they indeed separate their waste correctly. To understand that better, let me show you a little visit in our site in Puurs. Hi, here we are in Puurs, which is halfway between Brussels and Antwerp, at our Renui site. This site treats about 100,000 tons a year of waste,
of which about 20% can be recycled. In today's world, we use cranes, transportation belts, drum sieves and ballistic separators to work on it. Our investment will take us much further. We will go with artificial cameras and we will do some true innovation. This piece of wood, for instance, will today surely go to incineration, like many pieces in this mountain. Tomorrow's technology will help us to recycle and make a secondary raw material out of this.
Can you explain why it's so important for Renui?
Absolutely. Yeah? As measures such as Vlarema 8 are being implemented, we see that many businesses cannot separate their waste themselves and they need to get a second party to help them on this process. So Renui's plan is respond to this need, and our investment will position us uniquely to be able to do so. Renui is at this point of time market leader when it comes to the waste management that we're talking about. With up to 40% of the market capacity, which for Flanders alone is 1.5 million, we are the biggest player in Belgium. This also means, therefore, that regulations will have most impact on our client portfolio. We expect, therefore, it will secure our market leadership position and enhance it even further. Now, you'll see that we are investing in 3 lines with a capacity of over 400,000 tons. That capacity will basically allow us to do an advanced sorting, saving 130,000 of tons per year that doesn't go to incineration but becomes a secondary raw material. That really puts us from a recycle rate from below the 20s to up well above the 50s. And on top, saving quite an additional amount of CO2 emission with about 32,000 tons that will no longer be produced. And beyond that, the expectation is that Wallonia will follow soon. I can quote our Minister of Environment, whom I recently spoke to, stating the ambition in Wallonia to reduce incineration by 50% and putting recycle rates up to 65. Now, to put a little bit of body around that, let me show you the next video that will show us how our installation will be built.
Together with the vast knowledge of our suppliers, we are bringing unparalleled experience and expertise in sequencing, specifying and operating the various technologies that exist to recycle. Through investing in the 3 top-of-the-art sorting lines, we set ourselves at the pole position in a race towards a circular economy. These new sorting lines will allow us to make a step change in our recycling competencies, taking us up to above 50% of recycle capacity. As a result, about 130,000 tons of waste will be saved from incineration. For us to understand this differently, the amount of associated CO2 emission that will be avoided equals the work of roughly 150,000 square meters of forest.
It still inspires me when I see what is coming our way, and we're installing this in 3 strategic locations in Flanders. It's a unique technology by using magnets, artificial intelligent cameras, NIR technology, etc. But especially the sequencing of the various technologies that we are implementing really puts us into a high recycling results. It really is putting our waste to product strategy to life.
So why do we need to make these investments with Renui as an organization?
Thanks for the question, Sophie. First of all, because I think that Renui works with this clear purpose. This meets with and enables environmental and economical goals. Beyond that, waste producers will have to take their responsibility by sorting better. If they don't, they face quite increased penalties. We can help them on that. Of course, we will have to pay price additional for the service, which will in part allow us to pay back for our investment. But on top, we also are increasing our recycled income. As I mentioned before, we have 130,000 of tons that will no longer go to incineration, but we will create secondary raw materials, and therefore also reducing our incineration cost. And last but not least, let me also state that this reduces statistically our CO2 emission, which again enables our sustainability goals. But let me end with basically where we started today. It is quite obvious that people in Europe will be facing tighter regulatory measures to sustain our environment. We see our opportunity to invest and lead this journey, being truly leader through innovation in this industry that will change its entire supply chain and reinvent itself from waste collection to basically circular economy. And that's what it's all about.
All right, so if I summarize, Belgium is enhancing the circular economy with this new regulation. We support this as Renui fully because it's empowering our sustainability strategy and our purpose. And this technology was also scalable for Wallonia and the Netherlands on short term if necessary.
Fantastic, you understood everything perfectly.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
So now we've come to an end of the innovation projects that have been approved by our board. To make sure that Renui plays a leading role, we have developed a process from great ideas to commercial realities. Here is Bas van Ginkel, who will show us some details on the process. Welcome, Bas.
Thank you, Sophie, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bas van Ginkel, and I'm our Group Strategy and Business Development Director. And as a side note, I'm not as serious as this picture makes me look. I've been with Renui now for a little over 3 years, after a career of about 11 years at Philips and Bain & Company. Now, as you might know, Philips is a recognized leader in sustainability, whereas Bain is all about improving business results. Now, what convinced me to join Renui is that this is a company where sustainability and business results really go hand in hand and even reinforce each other. I wanted to join a company that is at the forefront of the transition towards a more sustainable future. And after these 3 years, I can honestly say that that has been the fact. But perhaps even more excitingly so, I can feel that the transition towards a circular economy is happening at an accelerating pace. And I truly believe that Renui is perfectly positioned to be leading that change. Now, you've heard Otto earlier speak about the tremendous upside opportunity for recycling. And you've heard a number of my colleagues speak about the exciting innovation projects that they are bringing to life. Now, I will discuss innovation at Renui in a little more detail. And specifically, I will discuss how we go about filling our pipeline with new and innovative projects, but also how we go about selecting only those that have the best combination of business impact and sustainability impact. Now, specifically, I will cover 4 topics. First of all, I will discuss why innovation is so crucial to enable a circular economy. Then second, I will talk about how we go about filling our pipeline with new innovative projects. Then thirdly, I will talk about what we focus on together with our partners. And then finally, I will discuss how we go about being diligent in the whole process, from innovation to investment proposal onwards, again, to select only those projects that have the maximum combination of sustainability and financial impact. Now, you've seen this chart on the right-hand side before in Otto's presentation, illustrating the tremendous upside opportunity for recycling. I've also listed here on the left-hand side some of the key drivers that will increase the demand for secondary materials. Of course, there's the impact of regulation, with ambitious targets both at the European level and the individual member state level. There's an increasing demand from producing companies for secondary materials, and there are advancements in enabling technology that enable more and higher quality recycling. The key point, though, is here at the bottom of the slide, and that is that all of these actors, regulators, producing companies, and tech providers alike, they look at us, at our industry, and at Renui in particular, to bring innovations to the market. And I think that really emphasizes the role that innovation plays in our industry. Now, innovation starts with ideas, with generating good ideas. We generate these both internally and externally. Internally, innovation is and always has been one of our core values at Renui. For this reason, and we believe that our workforce is one of the key sources of great ideas. Now, for this reason, we have developed and launched a mission called Mission 75. And Mission 75 is our mission to get from a 66% recycling rate to a 75% recycling rate. And again, this starts by generating ideas. We've activated this mission in a number of ways. We've had live events, with the last one being attended by more than 600 people. We use newsletters, we give out Mission 75 Innovation Awards, and we also organize local events. These local events are particularly interesting because they generate ideas that one would never think of from the head office. To give you one example, and Mark has explained how complex it really is to sort residual waste. Now, we have the benefit that our drivers know exactly what clients generate high-quality residual waste. So one of the projects we're running at our Zoeterwoude, Netherlands location is one where the drivers have teamed up with planning to compose a route with only those clients that generate this high-quality residual waste. This waste can be sorted directly at the sorting lines that we already have, directly contributing to our Mission 75 mission. Now, externally, we will be launching our Mission 75 platform externally this month. And on this platform, we will explain why we are a good partner, what we can bring to a partnership relation, and how we can go about co-innovating together. Now, already we are sold out quite actively by many different partners. They seek us out because we have the scale, some of the technology already, but also very importantly so, they know that we are one of the innovators in our industry. Now, innovation is all about casting a broad net. We currently have more than 150 ideas in our pipeline, but it's also important to focus, and to focus only on those projects with the highest possible impact, and to work with partners to make them a reality. Now, what you see here on the left-hand side of the page is the 6 focus themes that we work on. So these focus themes are a combination of some of our biggest, highest priority waste streams, but also a few more general themes that are applicable across multiple waste streams. Now, on the right-hand side, you see illustratively a number of projects that I've pulled out, and also the partners we're working with on those projects. I will talk about 2 projects just to bring this page a little bit more to life. One is about our retourmatras cooperation in polyurethane foam recycling. You've already heard from Otto that we're recycling more than 1 million mattresses annually. But our mission is not only about volume, it's also about quality. Only if we can produce a secondary material that is of the same properties as a virgin material, we can truly replace those. And I think this project is a good example of how we go about doing this. So we're currently piloting a novel chemical recycling process called solvolysis, where we take the polyurethane foam and dissolve it, turning it into a base chemical that can be used again to produce the exact same quality polyurethane foam. This way making the virgin alternative basically obsolete. Another example to illustrate is the one more at the bottom, the gas bottle detection. Now, one of the complexities in our industry is that you never quite know what's in the waste that we collect. Now, and sometimes there can be some nasty surprises, and gas bottles, of course, is one obvious example of this. So what we've done in Belgium, we have mounted cameras on a number of the cranes that handle this type of waste. These cameras are hooked onto an image recognition and AI system that detects gas bottles better than the human eye could ever do. And in the last few months alone, we have detected this way more than 20 different gas bottles, preventing fires, human injury, or worse. Then finally, we need to be disciplined. Like every company, we have limited resources, so we need to be disciplined to make sure we use our resources for maximum impact. Again, on sustainability, but also on financials. We do this in the innovation process by using well-established tools. We use a funnel approach with stage gates. We use the lean startup methodology with quick iterations and piloting, and also testing assumptions as quickly as we can. Once innovations are ready for detailing and full investment review, they are handed over to the investment committee for support. Now, the investment committee supports project teams with a range of tools that you see on the right-hand side, but also with advice and coaching to make sure that investment proposals are developed in the most diligent, coherent and consistent way across our divisions. Now, for us, this is a key way to ensure also that we do proper diligence internally before we spend our capital. Now, that then concludes my presentation for today. Thank you. I hope I've given you an impression of how we go about filling our pipeline with new innovative ideas, what we focus on together with our partners, and how we select only those projects with the best possible returns in terms of sustainability and financial impact. Thank you, and then over to you, Sophie.
Thank you, Bas. It's clear to us that without innovation, no circular economy is possible. We need the right technologies and the partners to win. So we talked about plastics, construction materials, organics, building materials, and innovation pipeline Vlarima 8. I hand over now to Toby, who will talk about the financial outputs. Welcome, Toby.
Thank you, Sophie. And good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you've enjoyed the presentations from all our colleagues outlining the exciting projects that we have in place to achieve our strategy, to achieve our sustainability objectives, but also to drive sustainable economic growth. Now, today I will be talking about the financial aspects of that growth, but we are deep in our closed period, so we will not be talking about more general trading and current profit expectations. So let us start by talking about our approach to our target returns. We've long had in Renui a pre-tax target return on operating assets of somewhere between 16 and 20%, which clearly is accretive to our WACC, which is currently somewhere between 6 and 7.5%. We've got a really strong track record of delivering those target returns, and this investment pipeline is expected to meet at least that minimum hurdle. Now, the question is when those profits come through. Small investments, for example, putting an optical sorter on the end of an existing line, they can be immediately accretive. But some of the larger investments, for example, the Bio-Lng or the advanced sorting lines, they can take up to a year before the returns start to flow at the targeted level. Now, again, this is not just about top-line growth, as was touched on earlier. Investments, sometimes they increase revenue, sometimes they reduce cost. So in our business, we focus on the margin and on the spread in order to assess the success of our investments. Again, a positive feature of our business is that while we are focusing on the actual capital investment required, there is no material additional working capital required to fund our growth. So let's now turn to the slides which show the timing of our investments. Well, these are the investments we've talked about today. So in terms of organics, we have a quantum of 21 million euros, of which most will commission this year, but we're also assuming in later years a purchase of the Bio-Lng facility from Nordsol. If we look at the building materials at ATM, we've got 17 million euros investment, most of which has already been spent, and the certification and the scale-up underway, as you saw in Theo's video. From a plastics perspective, we're investing 10 million euros at Acht, which will commission in late 2022. Now, the advanced sorting lines are the biggest single spend item, 60 million euros for 3 lines. The first line will commission in 2022, lines 2 and 3 will commission during 2023. We've got one small minerals investment of 2 million, which will commission early next year. And as we talked about before, Retormat Trust is a total investment of a bit under 5 million euros in an original shareholder investment and then a subsequent top-up funding round to build that 5th line, and with more in planning. So that's the investments. Now let's look at the phasing of them. And you can see here that 19 million euros of a total of 110 million euros in all the projects we've talked about today, 19 million has already been spent. 23 million euros is going to be spent in the year we're in, back half loaded. 42 million euros in fiscal year 23, and then declining again back to 19 million in 24 and 7 in fiscal year 25. And you can imagine from our growing earnings profile that this level of investment is very comfortably covered by the profit growth and the cash generation that we have. Now, if we look at the consequent EBIT from these investments, we're making a small loss at the moment, and that's in particular because of the filler, sand and gravel lines, whereas Theo explained very clearly, until we've got the certifications, then the spread on these new products is actually pretty slim. But that will improve with time, and as the other investments come through, you can see us moving rapidly towards that confident delivery of greater than 20 million euros targeted from fiscal year 26. So, 110 million euros of spend, 20 million euros of EBIT by the end of 2025. This excludes Retour Mattress, because Retour Mattress, as an associate company, delivers earnings below the EBIT line. That return ratio, you can see, is comfortably in excess of our target of 16 to 20%, and further projects remain in the pipeline, as Otto touched on in one of the slides much earlier today. So this comes towards the end of our exciting growth story, focusing on the circular innovation segment of our growth strategy. To restate some of the messages you've heard today, the climate emergency is leading to a real global focus on ESG and an understanding that to meet the demands of COP26, we all have to up our game. That means that our markets are evolving and evolving in a positive way as fast as I've ever seen in my time in this industry. We operate, and we're privileged to operate, in some of the most advanced circular economies in Europe. That means that our operating environment already favours recycling with things like incineration taxes, carbon taxes. But it also means that we're creating capabilities that are ready for export around the remainder of Europe as and when other countries become advanced circular economies. Our recycling model offers unique customer solutions, things that they can only come to us for, and that drives attractive growth and good returns for us. And I hope you've heard today there's enormous upside potential in recycling. Now, we've been innovating for years, a long and successful track record, and you've heard today about the next 4 projects that are going to drive our ongoing growth. That programme outlined today is going to deliver 20 million euros of EBIT by the end of 2025. But that's just the beginning, because when you look at what we've seen today, we have scalability into other territories, or even in advanced sorting across into Wallonia and then into the Netherlands. And we have other further projects under development in our robust and sophisticated innovation pipeline that was outlined by Bas van Ginkel. So we conclude, we are going to spend 110 million euros over the next 3 to 4 years, which will deliver more than 20 million euros of EBIT, more than 30 million euros of EBITDA, and as importantly, will help us achieve our Mission 75 recycling target and save 500,000 tonnes of CO2 every year. Thank you very much. Now back to Sophie.
Thank you, Toby. I will now hand over to Adam.
Thank you, Sophie. And on behalf of Otto and Toby, I'd like to say a huge thank you to all our presenters and the site teams that have helped prepare the virtual videos. Hopefully, we've given you a glimpse of the enormous potential of the circular economy and the many live projects that are contributing to our future growth. We'd now like to change pace and invite you to ask questions to our leaders, to Otto, to Toby, to Mark and Theo, either using the phone number on the screens now, which is +31 653 306 388, or via the Participate feature on the right-hand side of your screen. After the panel Q&A, our leaders will move into 3 virtual coffee rooms. These are the rooms 1, 2, and 3 that you see at the bottom of the screen, and you can easily switch between these rooms in these open microphone sessions. So over to you, and I'm sure I can count on the equity analysts to ask their customary 3 questions. If you give us a few moments, we're just going to move into the alternative studio where we're setting up to answer all of those questions now. Speak to you in a moment.